Welcome to Standing on the Edge. This is your host, Randy Saplata. Today is Friday, February 4th. And today we're going to be talking about getting the hell out of Dodge, son. We're going to do that on the edge of the coin. We also have the topic of do the opposite, part number 2 during Think Like the Rich. And today's personal story will be I've never done that before. Finally, we'll finish off the show with what would happen if. And by the way, if you like the content presented here and in other videos that I go ahead and produce for you, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up or the like button and then subscribe to the channel to ensure that YouTube and Facebook keep me on for a while. By the way, I want to let you know we are now officially on Fridays at noon. Fridays at noon is where we are going ahead and have moved to, just because Thursday happened to be so chock full of everything I never even got a chance to eat. So Fridays is the new Standing on the Edge day. Keep on coming at noon to go ahead and check out the new videos. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time for the edge of the coin. Welcome back to the show. The Edge of the Coin is brought to you by the CS Media Group. We provide the outstanding talent and you get the extraordinary entertainment. The Edge of the Coin is a segment that shows us a way of opening up our mindsets to allow us to explore both sides of any situation. We're going to jump right into today's topic, which is get the hell out of Dodge, son. Now, I brought this one up several times over the course of the past couple of years in doing this particular show, but it's not quite the same thing. I mean, normally it's just, get ready, prepare yourself, get out of trouble wherever you need to go ahead and do, if you have to do it for a short while. Today is going to be a little more permanent style. Take a little sip there. What I mean by this is that if you find that what you're doing just isn't working and you have to start over again, it may be a good idea just to go ahead and get completely into a brand new circumstance. You might have to change your city. You might have to change your county. You might have to change your state. You might even have to change your country. Sometimes it happens. There's just it all depends really on your level of comfort or discomfort, I should say, because so many people, like the frog being boiled in the water, little by little by turning up the heat just tiny bits at a time, they get so comfortable. And I have to say, I am just as responsible for this as well too. I have done this more times than I care to admit, more times than I can imagine. But just like that frog being boiled, little by little, it's just that I'm just too comfortable to be able to do anything right now. Or even worse, I'm relying on somebody else to get more uncomfortable than I am or where I am at that particular point. And it's just not going to happen because I'm waiting on that other person to get where I need to make my decision at. That's probably not the best thing to go ahead and do for my comfort level, because my comfort level is totally different from somebody else's. Now, let's say, for example, that you're the kind of person, like most of us, okay, that just figures out sooner or later things are going to go ahead and correct themselves. Sooner or later, the government's going to get its head out of its ass and figure out what's going on. Sooner or later, the market's going to go ahead and turn back again to where it needs to be, and you can go ahead and get everything hunky-dory, and you're going to get a great job, and salary's going to come out really, really fabulously to you. Money's going to fall from the sky, kind of thing, and it's going to be just a perfect version of heaven for you here on earth. Well, we all have seen over the course of the past year and a half that that's not the case. Jobs are up. Incomes are up. Money has fallen from the sky. And yet we're still in the midst of a quote-unquote crisis, according to the government. And even the crisis, the real crisis that we're in right now, the government is not at all assisting in us or assessing it, or even letting people know that it's there. They're not even acknowledging the fact that we are there. What is this crisis? Well, there's more than one, believe it or not. Right now, the biggest crisis that we have is we have our economy going crazy because of the what do you call it? The prices of everything going really, really high. We are in the midst of a depression that started nearly, well, over 10 years ago, in my opinion. And some of the pundits, some of the real gurus, so to speak, are now finally coming around to that point of view that I've been saying for years as well. We have our government that can't get anything done. I mean, they could barely even say, well, let's go ahead and raise the debt ceiling so we can go ahead and continue funding the government. They couldn't even get that done on time. So these are all crises that are all building up to the major one, which is going to be happening here very soon, which I've also been talking about. And that's going to be a stock market, a huge, huge stock market crash, not a correction, an actual crash, which is going to take down a bunch of stuff with it. Now, we're not going to feel the effects nearly as bad here in the United States, but it will give an excuse for the people that are truly in power. And I don't necessarily mean President Biden or even Vice President Kamala Harris. The true people in power behind them that are trying to go ahead and get things done, they're the ones that will be able to go ahead and sweep in, go ahead and take control of anything and everything. And once we go ahead and get the currency into a digital form, which they are planning on doing at the beginning of next year, then things are really going to go ahead and start, bouncing around like mad. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to get the hell out of Dodge, son. Before it was, okay, find yourself a place to go ahead and get away from the riots, get yourself away from the madness, get yourself away from all the crime, start over, do something else, or at least go ahead and take all of your items that you've got saved up, you planned, your gold, your silver, your supplies that you need to go ahead and survive on, that sort of thing, and move them to a safer place than possibly your home or the banks or wherever they might be at this particular moment. In a worst case scenario, move to a completely different area so that you can go ahead and continue doing what you're doing virtually and still be able to make money and do whatever's necessary. Well, right now, I'm talking to the people that actually need more than that. The ones that are finally going, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I can already see where this country is headed. I can already see what's going to be happening when it comes to the people behind the scenes taking care of things. And no, I'm not talking anymore about a possibility. I mean, this is actually true. You can see it happening. You can literally see the hands above you taking care of the strings and moving the marionettes around as we're going along. So with that in mind, I'm talking about moving to a different country and setting up shop. Now, this is a extreme move. It is an extreme move. It is never, ever easy. It is never, ever comfortable. And it is never, ever, ever the way you imagine it. However, that being said, most of the time, once you get there, you realize that all of the stress that you put on yourself was about a tiny amount, maybe an inch of a cup to go ahead and inch in your cup to go ahead and put in. And it's just like, boom, it's gone because now there's nothing you can go ahead and do about it. In another way, if you plan on it, you will notice that most of the time, everything that you are used to comfort-wise can be had in that other country. And depending on which country you move to, can be had for less expensively than you were in your home country to begin with. Many times, not necessarily all the time. If you're moving from Nigeria up to England, it's the complete opposite, basically, as well. If you're going from the United States to South Africa, it's about the same amount. If you're going ahead and moving from the Cayman Islands down to Cameroon, there's a good chance you're going to have a really less expensive living point of view. Okay. Now, the thing that brought this up for me was reading an article and or actually seeing a little screensaver on my computer the other day about Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt, which is along the Red Sea, and it's one of what has been captioned one of several or even many rich resorts, so to speak, or rich resort towns that have been popping up along the Red Sea. And then this just really sparked a great idea for me, which was if you can go ahead and follow the money, follow where it's going, and you decide that your home country is just not going to be worth it, go ahead and move to another country and follow the money, find out where the rich are headed, so then you have a greater chance at surviving, thriving, and doing even better, because what you've got, you can go ahead and benefit to them, hopefully, and will be able to go ahead and continue your lifestyle in a less expensive arena, but still enjoy what you're doing, still cater to the people that need it, and still be able to go ahead and make a wonderful lifestyle for yourself. If necessary, and this is the hardest part of all, leave everything that you know that's comfortable to you, up to and possibly including your family. And that's the hardest part, leaving your family. I know, I've done it. All right. I've done it. I went back in the 1990s. I put all of my stuff in storage. I didn't really have a lot at that point anyway, but I put all of my stuff in storage, and I moved to Spain for about 8 months or so. And that was the reason I did that was because I wanted to go ahead and study the Spanish language, but I really needed to go ahead and find out what it was like to be out in a totally different culture compared to what my own was. I had a fabulous time. I ended up living on basically $4,000 for those 8 months, and I probably could have done it for less than that as well. But a lot of it was the plane ticket to begin with, and I found out that really I can do a lot on a very little amount of money without having to even try that much, as long as I'm not trying to go ahead and live in the center of a major city, as long as I'm not trying to go ahead and go out to restaurants every single night, and I'm using some of my funds to go ahead and cook and do what I needed to go ahead and do, as long as I'm not trying to go ahead and purchase a villa, a huge amount of land while I'm there. And, there's a lot of stuff that you can go ahead and do to get yourself set up. Now, if you decide you want to go ahead and get your own business moving, first of all, the first thing, as I have been saying for years now, is that you need to figure out what it is that the people that are already in the place you want to go need the most. And if you can't figure that out, that what they need the most, or you can't provide it, find something that they do need that you can provide, hopefully that is not being provided already by a bunch of other people, because then you're really going to have to set yourself aside, or set yourself out from the crowd in doing so. And then go about providing it to them. Make the list of what you think you can go ahead and sell it for comfortably to you, and then double or triple the price and see if they would be willing to pay that price for what you have to offer. That's probably the best advice that I can go ahead and give to you at this particular time for what it is that you might need to go ahead and do. But we can go ahead and get even further than that. Okay, let's go ahead and say that you're going to go ahead and move to this Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt, and the coolest thing is that setting up a virtual company there, the quickest thing that you can go ahead and do, especially if you've got a lot of people that go ahead and are friends with you, or know other people that have more money than you do, then you can go ahead and start advertising that you're setting up your business in this particular place in Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt. Okay. And it doesn't matter what country they're from. If you're talking to them and you're boosting it up and you're saying, hey, come visit, eventually at least one person's going to go ahead and come and visit you in that area. But if you are going ahead and advertising to the world as well, eventually what's going to happen is there are going to be other people that are coming in and doing that too. Now, the secondary part that you can go ahead and do, the flip side of that coin, is you can go ahead and advertise other businesses in Sharm el Sheikh and say, hey guys, if you go ahead and pay me a certain amount of money every single month, and we'll go ahead and give it a not a discount, but a first time renters or first time buyer or first time advertisers special in doing so. Okay. And then you can go ahead and take whatever they give to you, cover your bills to go ahead and live with just that. Just cover your bills to survive and live right there. And then go ahead and promote the hell out of their businesses to everybody else that you know of. You're living for free. Once you do that, then you can go ahead and continue doing the exact same thing to other businesses out and around in the surrounding areas and say, hey, I've already successfully started going ahead and taking the businesses in this town and promoting them to all of my clientele around the world. I'll be happy to go ahead and do the same for you. And then you go ahead and do the exact same thing you were doing before, using the exact same strategy that you had, and now you're getting extra income coming in. Now you can go back to the first people and say, hey guys, you've been doing well. I've been advertising you to so many different people. We've come to the end of our contract, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, however long it happens to be. We're going to go ahead and renew it. And yes, the prices are going to go up, but because you've been a loyal customer so far, I'm only going to raise it by a certain amount. And you might raise it up the equivalent of, I don't know, $100 US per company and move on from there. It might be $50 US per company, whatever it is. Anything extra that you're getting beyond covering your bills is a bonus. And this is fabulous. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying get the hell out of Dodge. Okay. If you have to start somewhere over again, then the best thing to go ahead and do is to really find a place, like I said, where all the money is. And once that money has coming out and you found out where that is, and you can go ahead and set yourself up comfortably there, at least after getting over all of that extra whatever, then you're going to be better off than you were before. So, with that in mind, definitely keep that as a suggestion or an idea, because it's going to be very quickly, in my opinion, coming out to that position where you have to just go somewhere out of your own country to be able to escape the pressures and the oppressive regimes that are trying to go ahead and present themselves and push themselves to the forefront now. It might be that you can't get out of there. And if that's the case, find another spot to go ahead and make it better, and find a way to go ahead and work with that particular, as much as possible, with that particular government, so you can go ahead and make it better as well. You've been listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time to think like the rich. And welcome back to the show. Think Like the Rich is brought to you by Mama's Decadence. Offering luxurious refreshments. I love that. Offering luxurious refreshment to your body inside and out. You need to treat your body and that of your lover, especially since Valentine's Day is coming up. Hint, hint, hint. You need to treat them to a bit of luxury from Mama's. You can find out what's available by emailing Heather at mamasdecadence@gmail.com. Think Like the Rich is a segment designed to help everyone think past their circumstances and encourage a different course of action. Today's topic is do the opposite. Just do the opposite. This is part 2. Now, I did mention in my last segment about getting the hell out of Dodge. And I mentioned that it's getting to the point where you might just have to go ahead and you might just have to completely change your country. This is a difficult thing. I am telling you, I have done it before. I know exactly how difficult it is. I know how difficult the idea is just to begin with while you're trying this, but it's something that I think everybody has to do at least once. Even if you're going out and you're helping somebody else set up their hustle, their side business, their whatever it is, and then you go ahead and come back and say, okay, I'm back doing the same thing here. But today's topic, like I said, is do the opposite part two. Now, if you happen to go ahead and do the opposite by moving to a completely different country, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's completely different from what you are used to doing, whether it's having a job at your local convenience store or grocery store or computer company or whatever the case may be. And you're going and doing something totally different. Now, you might even keep your job and say, hey, I want to be set up remotely and I want to go ahead and try to help grow the company into a international arena. And you might even be able to talk your company into going ahead and sending you over to that particular country. So you've got a chance to go ahead and do exactly what you were doing here in your own home country somewhere else and enjoying the fruits and benefits of your labor and their labor as well for moving you to a different area and able to go ahead and create a brand new life for yourself there. This is not as hard as it seems. It's really not. I already acknowledge the fact that it's difficult, but most of the difficulty is right here. Right here. It's in your own mind. That's where 99% of the difficulty actually resides. Okay. Once you can get past that gray matter yourself and you start moving and making a decision, it's really not that difficult at all. The hardest part is trying to go ahead and find a place that you can actually communicate. If you know the language, so much the better. But I have to tell you that at least two-thirds of the world speak English just as well or almost as well as those that are living in English speaking countries. I mean, like I said before, I went to Spain. I lived there for 8 months, and I found that honestly, 90% of the people understood me whether I was speaking Spanish or I was speaking English. They preferred that I spoke Spanish living there, but they could understand me if I needed to go ahead and find something else and were able to go ahead and talk to them in English. And there were so many times that I'm wandering around the streets and I'm hearing so many other people speaking English that it worked out even better for me, because then I had a choice of so many different things that I could go ahead and do if I decided to do so. I could go ahead and converse with them in English. I could converse with them in Spanish. I could go ahead and find out if they wanted to practice their English if they did not know it as a first language and set up study times with them. I could go ahead and make up my own little course if I wanted to and teach English to people that really were not comfortable in speaking it and wanted to do better than that. And I could then speak English while I was doing so and make an income coming along with that. It was completely opposite to what I had been doing previously. And so this is why I'm talking to you about doing the opposite part two today, because what you're used to doing right now very quickly may come to a point where it's just not going to work for you at all. And you've got to do a completely 180-degree turn or move in a completely brand new direction that you never, ever thought that you might have to go ahead and do. Why am I saying that? Well, if you take a look at everything that's going on, okay? I mean, right now, looking at today's statistics, the government says that the United States has added over 400,000 jobs just in the past month. Okay, this is fabulous. This is great. However, those jobs, if you take a look at it and break it down, most of them are in the service industry. The service industry is not doing well at all because there are so many people out there that, again, are not spending enough money that they were prior to this shutdown that we had, the global shutdown that we had back in 2020, and where they were in 2019 and jumping out left and right and spending money like it was candy kind of thing, or it was just sugar being poured into sweet tea here in the Southeast. then it's nowhere near that at all, and you still got people that are really having a huge controversy about whether or not they can wear a mask inside, or they can wear a mask outside, or don't have to wear it period at all, or if they can go ahead and have their servers wear a mask or not wear a mask. I mean, there's people just really, really getting hammered by doing this, and the service industry, we're finding out that so many people don't want to be in that position. It doesn't matter what the pay is, because of all the stress that goes along with it. So they're having to do the opposite. Let's go ahead and take the trucking industry. We're still finding right now that so many truckers are finding themselves in a position where they can't do what they want to do, because from state to state, you've got different regulations that are now getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And so they're not able to go ahead and move cross country to be able to take care of this. The position is exactly the same and magnified between the borders of Canada and the United States. There's so much of a backlog happening where they can't bring the product from Canada down into the United States, and vice versa, because the laws have been so thrown out of whack compared to where they were, that it's just unable to do so. What this shows me, and here's a hint for you guys that might be willing to go ahead and invest into this, okay? Seriously, think about this. We already here in the United States have a good almost a quarter of our country being used with AI. Okay, and by that I'm talking about specifically the trucking industry. They are using driverless trucks to go ahead and go from warehouse to warehouse in state to state and moving back and forth to different areas, and are able to go ahead and continue doing what's happening a lot easier than if there was a human driver going back there. I do not like that. I do not promote it. However, I can already see this is where things are heading. Okay. The jobs that nobody wants to do are the jobs that will be filled by driverless positions or AI of some sort. That's exactly how it's going to happen. That's how it started so far, and how it's going to continue going on. So if that's the case, and you want to go ahead and do the opposite, find a way to invest into AI to get what you need done, so that way you can provide exactly what needs to be provided to the people that need to get it, and get it quickly, and to be able to go ahead and continue getting it. And therefore, you're able to go ahead and make a lot more money to be able to grow that particular business. It doesn't matter if you've never done it before. What you need to do is, first of all, find out what needs to be done. Second of all, find a team of people that have done it before and get them together to be able to move on and move forward with this particular item. And thirdly, find the investors that are willing to go ahead and invest into that particular company. And the money's out there. Trust me, the money's out there. There are banks, there are insurance companies, there are hedge funds companies, there are private investors, there are so many different people, angel investors. I mean, so many different things, even the Shark Tank people, so many different people out there with a ton of money that are looking for a place to invest it into. A lot of people out there are right now to the point where they are looking for a place to invest into, even if they lose money, because they know that at least the government's going to go ahead and pay them back. And rather than get taxed on the amount of money that they've got sitting in the bank, or sitting aside from there, that they're going to lose due to inflation and other events that are happening, such as taxation, they need to keep that money moving. They need to keep that money going. So if you can come up with a great idea, and you can find a great team to help you with that great idea, the money's going to come to you, as long as you can go ahead and present it coherently to those people. That's the big thing that I want you to talk to you about today, which again is doing the opposite. If you're doing the opposite of what you have been doing previously, then yes, there's a chance that you will fail at it, especially if you've never done it before. However, there's also a chance that you will succeed at it, even if you've never done it before. So if that's the case, why wouldn't you start trying to do something, figuring it out, starting small, getting the mistakes that you need to get out behind you, and then moving on and getting better and better and better right now before everybody else is jumping into that. That, to me, is a great way to go ahead and do it. Now, like I said, you also have to go ahead and have a great team to go ahead and help you with this. Okay. I remember back when my buddy Lee is watching right now. He'll remember this conversation that I went ahead and gave to him, which was, I really am thinking about starting my own cruise line company, and I was thinking about doing small tours of, getting a boat and making it a real nice dinner cruise, and getting out there and getting couples on, enjoying a nice little thing. And he's thinking, well, yeah, we could go ahead and I could take the boat and I could go ahead and sell fishing trips. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is a totally different arena that I was imagining myself. But he had a great idea also. So whatever it is that you happen to come up with, if you have, even if you've never done it before, if it's viable and people want to go ahead and do it, and you see that people are willing to go ahead and spend money on it, try it out. See if it works, because the worst thing that can happen most of the time is that you have to shut the business down, and you have to go ahead and tell everybody else, hey, I screwed up. I made a mistake. It's not what I thought it was. Here's the reason why it messed up. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be me as the business owner, because I just didn't know what I was doing. And if you're honest with them, especially your investors, if you're honest with them and say, hey, I screwed up, this is where I lost the money because I did something stupid, most of the time they're going to say, okay, thank you for acknowledging that. Let me know the next time you come in to go ahead and do something, and we'll see about trying to invest again. I have known that to happen more times than I can count on both of my hands and both of my feet personally. So many people have talked to me about that in the past. It is a very true thing, regardless of what happens. Most people think, however, because, oh my God, I made a mistake, I got egg on my face, I can't do anything, I have to blame it on something else that was not under my control, such as the economy, such as President Biden's new restrictions coming through, such as the fact that we got war coming in, such as the fact that I just didn't have the money and I tried to go ahead and borrow it from other people as well and didn't know what I was doing, such as the fact that I spent it all on a brand new Mercedes or a brand new Rolex or a brand new suit or something like that, or office furniture or whatever. Doesn't matter what the case is. If you go ahead and acknowledge it and say, I know better, I'm not going to do it again, you're going to find a lot of times that people are more willing to go ahead and invest again with you, because your integrity is the same or better than it was. And that's the main thing right there. And that, again, is doing the opposite of what most people will do. They will go ahead and say, well, no, I couldn't do it. It's my partner's fault. He was the one that went ahead and spent all the money. It was the fact our city got shut down for a month and I couldn't do anything about it. It was the fact that the stock market decided to go ahead and take a leap far ahead than we were doing. I had too many sales. I couldn't keep up with the orders. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all. Do the opposite from what you normally would do. Stick to that plan that you've made. Find the investors that you've got get the team involved first that know what's going on, at least one other person, and you can communicate back and forth with that person many times. And then the money's going to go ahead and come out of nowhere, literally, to go ahead and do this. And it doesn't matter where in the world you are, whether you're jumping off to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to go ahead and start this cruise line, so to speak, or to go ahead and find and start your American restaurant in Egypt, which would probably do very well, in my opinion, especially if you're catering to people that are missing America or American cuisine, whatever the case may be. Or you've got people in Egypt that are tired of their same thing over and over and over again, no matter how good it is, and they want to go ahead and try something new. You might just go ahead and do that. Either way, you're doing the opposite, and you will many times succeed beyond your dreams. If you then fail after that, it's still a possibility, yes, but you're still succeeding in what you had been doing previous to that point. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time for the Tales from the Edge. Welcome back to the show. Tales from the Edge is brought to you by the HRS Foundation, investing in future generations to ensure a better tomorrow. Tales from the Edge is a shared personal example of people and situations that I've experienced during my path to growing wealthy. Today's story is I've never done that before. And I had to say it just like that. Yes, I've never done that before. So many people vehemently almost deny the fact that what they have been doing in the past is so crucial to their life because they're so afraid of doing something they've never done before. Now, I would have to do the same thing. I mean, I remember back in high school, I was considered, and so many people today would say, no way, there's absolutely nothing that you would convince me of this. But back in high school, I was literally so bland and so insecure of myself that you couldn't tell me from the wall paint behind me. I mean, literally the paint on the wall itself, not the painting, but the paint on the wall. I was so blending in so well. I did not want anybody to notice me at all. It was just one of those things. And I can see so many high school students today even that are just as bad as I was at that point, or even worse, and are continuing to go ahead and try to stay out of the limelight as much as possible. And so this segment, I've never done that before, is catered directly to them, as well, of course, as to anybody else too. But here's the interesting thing. Even people that are in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, and the older you get, the harder it is to go ahead and get out of this mindset. When you're getting out of school, or you're just about to get out of high school, so to speak, the one thing on your mind is having enough money to be able to get some freedom to do what you want to do, whether it's to go out to a fast food restaurant whenever you want to, whether it's to go ahead and go out to a movie whenever you want to, whether it's to go out on the date with that one special person that you want, or those 15 special people, so to speak. If you want to go to a party, you can go ahead and do that. If you need to go ahead and to get to a job to do that, doesn't matter, as long as you have some form of income. And at that point, the first thing, and I did the exact same thing. I remember my very first job was a whopping $5.50 an hour. $5.50 an hour. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got a job. Oh my God, I've got money that's coming in. And if I can go ahead and work, even doing it part-time, working and going to school, and I'm able to go ahead and work 20 hours a week, that means that I can go ahead and make $100 plus every single week. I could do so much with $100. Man, I can do so much. I can go out, eat at McDonald's 5 times a day, or 5 times a week, and have plenty of money left over to go and get my own phone. And I could probably go ahead and be able to afford a car. And I could do so many other things foolishly, obviously, because when the people that are 30, 40, 50 years old, they're just chuckling right now, go, oh man, I remember doing that one there. And they are realizing, of course, beyond that, it doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. $5 an hour doesn't get you squat. It doesn't. I mean, you might be able to go ahead and to live with your parents for something like that for a couple of years, but you're going to find out very quickly that it just doesn't get you very much. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we fast forward 40 years, and today we're finding that jobs right now, people are trying to give away the exact same dishwashing position that I did before for $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour. And people are still able to go to McDonald's 3 or 4 times a week and live with their parents on this. It just doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to work for whatever's going on. That's the reason why I'm promoting this. I've never done this before, and do the opposite and get the hell out of Dodge to be able to go ahead and do this. If you can get past this little section right here, the 3 or 4 inches in between your ears, and do something you've never done before, and do something else you've never done before, and continue to do something else that you've never done before, while you are in your present situation, you're going to expand your situation so greatly. This is extremely important. Extremely important, because if you can expand your situation, you can expand your means, you can expand your experience in so many different ways. There's going to be so many people, number one, that are impressed with the fact that you've done it in the first place because you've broken out of the pack. They're going to go, wow, can you show me how to do that? And finally, there's a lot of times people will go, well, I want to do that. I don't know how. I am willing to go ahead and pay you for your expertise to help me do it, to help me get where you are and have been doing that before. And there's a lot of people that are out there in consulting positions that have done exactly this. And if you've practiced it, no matter what it is, writing scripts, writing songs, going out and taking people on tours from your hometown, dressing up in different costumes and showing people how they can go ahead and make a party out of it. There's all kinds of different things that you can go ahead and do that are allowing you to do exactly what you are good at, and to make an income off of it that's wildly, fantastically more than $5 an hour doing the exact same thing, or $12 an hour doing the exact same thing, and working your behind off trying to go ahead and get all of this out here. Here's the trap. Here's the one thing that you don't realize is, of course, as you are a high school student or even younger than that, it's the fact that money in equals money out. If you can get money, you can buy things. 99% of the time, there's zero difference. It's whatever's on one side of the equation equals whatever's on the other side of the equation. So if you got $10 to spend, you're going to spend it on $10 worth of stuff. It happens so many times. It's an incredible epiphany when you figure that out. If you can get to the point where you change it even just a little bit and say, all right, I've got $10 here, but instead of spending those $10 here, I'm going to spend $8 on what I want. And I'm going to give $1 to my charity or church or charitable organization. And I'm going to take that other dollar and I'm going to put it into savings for something else later on that I don't know that I need right now. You spend 80%, 70%, 60% of what you already have based upon your needs. And you put the other stuff into whatever it might be, whether it's an investment account or a savings account for a rainy day, or it's a car to go ahead that you want to go ahead and purchase. So you're saving up for that, or you might even be saving up for a house or a brand new boat or a new business. Who knows what it might be? If you do that, something you've never done before, and you continue to do that, something that you've never done before, and you get the experience at it. Once you've been doing it for a certain amount of time and you can produce measurable results, then you can go back and start saying, hey guys, and it doesn't matter who you're talking to, look what I've done. Look what's happened here in the past. And you're not tooting your horn to the people that are going, oh wow, you've got $1,000 saved up, give me that $1,000. No, what you're saying is to other people that you know have more money than you, I've been able to go ahead and save 20% consistently of my own money. And I've taken that money and I've invested it into different arenas that have made it successful and grown my money into whatever it happens to be. Or you might say, I've consistently been able to go ahead and take 20% of my own money and put it into my own business, which is thriving, which is moving on wildly, and give them the opportunity to go ahead and help you invest into that same arena for whatever it is. And people jump on it all day long. They do. Now, to begin with, you might get no, 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 and that's because you're an unknown. You are not known to them. But if you keep presenting yourself to that, eventually they're going to say, okay, I'll try it with you. It does not mean go to one person and hammer at them 1,000 times. What it means is you go to 100 people and you hammer it into those 100 people 10 times each, and then more. Because if you're doing something every single day, every single minute, every single hour to one person, they're going to get irritated, they're going to get tired, they're going to consider you spam, so to speak, or just plain old yucky marketing that you are not doing, or you just want to go ahead and get their money and nobody else's. So you have to go ahead and make sure you're doing this in the proper way, the proper form, the proper fashion, whatever it is that's going to help you, but it's not going to make you a pest to somebody else as well. And again, that goes back to the I've never done that before. I've never been able to do that before. I don't know what to do. And so you have to go ahead and find out what it is that you need to help you move on. Find a person that's done that before, that has done it before, so they can help you with your I've never done it before and continue on. So you can help somebody else with their I've never done that before and move on. And it's helping the person below you up the ladder because the person above you has helped you up the ladder, and you're all moving in the same direction and going on from there. It doesn't matter if you're in a job doing this. It doesn't matter if you're in your new business doing this. It doesn't matter if you're moving to a different country doing this. It's going to help you 100% of the time if you go ahead and stick to that strategy. Sometimes that ladder is a little slippery. Sometimes that ladder is a little wobbly. So you might have to go ahead and get a bigger ladder, or make sure that you got more weight at the bottom so it's not moving out and away from the top where you're at. But again, if you know the people that can help you, learn from them, and then do the exact same thing by helping somebody else up to do it. And then you're going to find out that the moment you need to make the next step, somebody else is going to go ahead and present that as well. This is always, 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 always a good thing to do, and always a great way to move to the next point of view from there. So if you ever stop getting to the point where I've never done that before, two things are going to happen. First of all, you're going to find out that, number one, it's incredibly boring because there's nothing left to do. Secondly, you're going to find out, too, that you're going to be so lost because you don't know what to do next. And I think this is where most people find themselves in their quote-unquote midlife crises. Because they've gotten to the most that they can do comfortably. They've found out that everything that they can do right now physically is what they have already done. There's nothing else they can do without getting out of their comfort zone, but they're not willing to move out of their comfort zone. It's almost like a couch potato going, I'm so comfortable right here. I don't want to get up to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to go ahead and be like my cats and pee on the couch. It's gross, disgusting, but that's pretty much how people find themselves. And then after a while, what's even worse is they get used to the smell, and they get used to the to the wetness, and they get used to the mold growing in, and they get used to the sores on their body, and it gets even to the point where it starts now rotting out from underneath you, and you're sinking lower and lower and lower to the ground, but you don't want to get up because you're so comfortable. And you almost need a whack in the head with a big old baseball bat to get you out of that stinking thinking. It's nuts, but it happens. And what's even worse than that is that so many people get trapped into that and they don't know how to get out of it. The only thing they can possibly think of at the end of the day is, well, I might as well just go ahead and kill myself because nobody's going to come and help me. I can't get out of it. I can't do it. I can't do whatever. And so they go ahead and literally they end their own lives. Tragic. But it happens every single day. For that reason, and for many other reasons, I present this show to try to give everybody else brand new ideas, brand new ways to think about what they possibly can do that is either super simple and can move them to the next step, or it's more difficult than they've ever done before, and it spurs them on, motivating them to go ahead and do something brand new that they've never done, even if they fail. Because I want them to learn from the brand new experience, okay? I want them to do that. Therefore, once they get to that point and they can go ahead and say, okay, I screwed up, I failed. Then I want them to go ahead and ask this most important question, more important than any other question, period, which is, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this mistake that I've done, so that I don't repeat it again? And most of the time, if you can do that, if you can learn from that particular mistake that you've made, and you don't repeat it again, it doesn't matter what else you do in life, you'll never, ever, ever repeat that same mistake again. And thereby making sure that you're going to have the best time that you can ever have, because you have broken out of your stinking thinking, because you've been able to go ahead and move on to something new and go, yeah, it's scary, but I'm doing it anyway. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time to close out the show with What Would Happen If. Welcome back to the show. What Would Happen If is brought to you by DJR Enterprises. Today's topic for What Would Happen If is take lessons from the nomads and the gypsies. Take lessons from the nomads and the gypsies. And for those people that are going, wait a minute, this is a business show. Now we're talking about nomads. Excuse me. Pardon me. Now we're talking about gypsies. And again, excuse me. Goodness. This is a business show. Why the hell would you be talking about nomads and gypsies? Why would you be talking about people that are transient, the people that continue to move out and whatever else? Well, here's the interesting thing. And I mentioned this at the end of the last segment a second ago. If you take all of the knowledge that you have and you go somewhere else, you can take advantage of that knowledge. Let me repeat that. If you take all of the knowledge that you have and you move to somewhere else, you can take advantage of that knowledge. And most of the time, you're in a better position anyway, because if you've moved somewhere new, the knowledge that you have is only knowledge that you have. And you can then help spread that same knowledge to other people that need it in that brand new place. And it doesn't matter if you have a lot of money, because if you have enough to start doing something where you can actually survive by having your bills paid for a certain amount of time without you having to dig into your savings 100% of the time, then you've made it so much better for yourself and can continue to expand on that knowledge and get better and better and better and move on and help other people get better and better and better. If you remember, there was a movie back several years ago that was called The Bourne Identity. And this, of course, was a movie about an assassin that lost his memory and decided he wanted to go ahead and get out of the business, so to speak. But the part that I want to go to and point out is the end of the movie. the end of the movie, he's searching for his girlfriend Marie, who has gone and taken the amount of money that he went ahead and gave to her and started up her own brand new business. Now, she'd already been doing the exact same thing. We had already seen during the course of the movie that she had been in France in several places, that she was in Germany where she came, to begin with, where she came from, that she moved to Austria, that she moved to Switzerland, and she did all of these other things, doing whatever she wanted to go ahead and do, and had been practicing it, and had been failing at it, and had been a complete, utter, unsuccessful person, but she kept doing it again and again and again. And finally, she went into wherever the place happened to be. I don't know if it was the Biarritz in France, off the coast of Spain. The coast of France. Or if it was somewhere completely different. It looked like she was in the Greek Isles, according to the end, but you never really find out for sure. And she had started up another company, this one of renting scooters out to the tourists that were coming about while they were there. And she seemed to be doing very successfully at it and was able to go ahead and do it. Now, you can't go ahead and say that, well, she was only successful because she had a lot of money that Jason Bourne went ahead and gave her. That's not the case. That is most definitely not the case. Because I've seen people take millions of dollars and start up a brand new company and have to close that company in 6 weeks. Literally 6 weeks later, because they didn't know what they were doing. But if you've got the knowledge of the mistakes that you made, and you can improve on those mistakes, and you can find other people to help you in getting further and further along, you can always take advantage of the knowledge of what you did to not repeat those same mistakes and to go ahead and move on and get better. And you've moved somewhere else like a nomad or a gypsy, and you've just continued moving on so that your house, your home, whatever it is you need to go ahead and do, your expenses personally are so little that they can go ahead and fit into a caravan, so to speak. You've got a tiny house that's mobile. You're able to go ahead and move it, or God forbid, but it might happen, you're living out of your own van or car for the time being, and you're moving on and you're building your business and you're doing whatever. You can go so many different places and not be tied down to one area and still be successful doing it, as long as you keep repeating the process. And one of the things that I wanted to do back when I was younger, and I still toy with it from time to time, and that's just basically taking everything that I got, selling as much as I can off, taking the money, running off to not a deserted island, so like so many people think of, but some beach resort, like going over to the Gold Coast or the Dalmatian coast off the coasts of Yugoslavia or Serbia, or right in that area, or even at the Italian coast, going right below Venice or something like that, and going ahead and starting from there and living on the beach until I get kicked off the beach, and moving on to the next beach and living there until I get kicked off the beach, and moving there, just continuing up and down the coast, all the way down to Greece and back, and all the way back down to the heel of Italy, and moving back and forth, or even possibly even going ahead and moving over into France and doing the same thing. There's so many different ways that can be done, and just taking what the knowledge that I've got right now, even if it's just teaching English to the people that need it, little by little by little, and trading it for that night's meal, and trading it for that night's lodgings, or whatever, something like that. It can be done. It can be done. It happens all the time. If you take advantage of that, you can go ahead and seriously take advantage of it and continue the same thing over and over and over again, and move from place to place to place to place to place, just like a gypsy. Now, the flip side of that, is that, number one, you don't have a place to settle down. You don't have a place to call your own. But at the same time, you have the most freedom as well. And that, to me, is the biggest thing that I can possibly present to you, because the more freedom you've got, the more options you have. And you can always always telephone home, or now you can video chat home and find out what's going on and stay in touch with so many other people and still do everything that you want to do inexpensively if you have the right mindset. If you got enough knowledge to be able to take what you had and carry on and move to a different area of the world, you can do this. Anybody can do this. I know I have done this. And since anybody can do it, all that it takes is a determination to do it. And if you can get yourself to that point, then it's no longer a dirty business that somebody has to do. It's now something that you're not just willing and able, but really seriously wanting to do more and more and more of it. And the knowledge and the stories and the things that you get, especially the stories, but the experiences that you get and can then pass on to other people that want to do the same thing, or even better, will pay to hear you tell them what you have been doing. Whether it's one-on-one, whether it's at book sessions, whether it's at doing the video like I'm doing right now, whether it's on the radio, whether it's getting your own television program doing the exact same thing. It happens constantly over and over and over again. And then you have the most freedom to do what you want to go ahead and do. All you have to do is keep on doing it. And it gets better and better and better. And life is just incredible. It really is. You've been listening to Standing on the Edge. Here's a shout out to my friends watching today. Today is Lee Stroud. Thank you very much for tuning into the show, Lee. I definitely appreciate you doing so as always. He's my biggest supporter outside of my wife, and it's great to go ahead and call him friend for so many years that I have. I want to go ahead and let you know, if you want to be a partial sponsor for Standing on the Edge and help me continue moving on to be able to continue presenting this great information to you, send a text to me to 470-554-2134. Send me an email at joinmeattheedge@gmail.com, and I can go ahead and send you a link to the GoFundMe page that I've got set up to be able to go ahead and invest into this show. $1 is all I need. $1 from each person to go ahead and help me move on to continue from there. You can go ahead and search for the GoFundMe page as well, just straight onto GoFundMe and look it up. It's called Standing on the Edge. And I can go ahead and help you out from there if you need to, just by either texting me or sending me an email. My next show is going to be next Friday. Things have changed to Fridays now again, February 11th at noon. But until then, I want you to remember to expand your awareness. Think of something every day to help you on your own path. And hopefully soon, I'll see you joining me on the edge. Have a great weekend, folks. Bye, Lee.